Call special meeting to order. Will the clerk please call roll?
Burgess.
Here.
Morton. Here. Myers. Here. Hoskin. Here. Washington. Here. Williams. Here.
All right, we're doing number 2. We have an ordinance before you tonight to the ordinance for the Village of Sauk Village, Cook and Will County, Illinois, supporting the renewal of the Class 8 real estate tax assessment classification for 21700 South Mark Collins Drive. Open up to the floor. And if the trustees have any questions, we do have Katie with us and Matt Newman from Encore. They are the property owners. I give the board a little bit of background. This is probably what you known as the old WIS building, WSI building, and it's about approximately a little over 700,000 square feet, and it's located right there on Mark Collins Drive. As you're driving toward the railroad tracks, it's on the left-hand side, exactly across the street from P.L.A.N. Okay, trustee.
I have a couple of questions. First question, do you have a potential tenant? And good evening.
Is the green light on that?
The green light.
Kevin.
Thank you. My name is Matt Newman, and I am the real estate asset manager for Overfront. To answer your question, we have one. Still can't hear. How about this?
There you go.
Thank you. We are actively marketing that space. It is 776,000 feet. We do not, at the moment, have a prospect. We are competing with properties along Interstate 80 and across Will County. At the moment, no one is ready to sign this.
And my second question, do you own any other land or manage any other land within that tip?
That's a good question. You may recall that that park was developed by Germany Properties.
Yes.
We own 2 of those sites. One, as Mr. Mayor said, is a vacancy. The second building is P.L.A.N. The other land is still owned, not by us, but by Germany.
Okay. So you do own the building that's P.L.A.N., you're just leasing it?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, and well, you answered my question. I was going to ask you. Are you trying to sell it? Lease it, either broken up or all in one? Correct.
Good question. We are prepared to do, frankly, hope that we could very easily entertain one single user who loves having CN rail service. They're usually paper producers. But because the building was built in stages and you've got many entrances, you can divide it to smaller users. So we let the market know, bring us what we got. And it's to be divided, we'll pay for the division. If it's one single user, we're ready for that as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I think it's important for, of course, we've got some seasoned trustees on here. The reason we look at Class 8s for buildings and businesses like this, especially when we're trying to get one filled, is being in Cook County, right on the edge. We find ourselves constantly competing with Indiana. We find ourselves competing with Will County.
Can I give you an example?
Testing.
All right, I'll try to speak loud. I'll try to get that. It's very difficult for a community like ours, especially we're on the edge of Cook County. We're competing with Indiana, we're competing with Will County. When you look at the taxes, we look for different types of incentives to bring businesses to Sauk Village. I mean, this area is currently an exempt. That's one incentive. We have the enterprise zone, which helps a new business in this building. This building is already here, so unless there's any major changes, the enterprise zone, I don't know how much of an incentive that is. We also work with the state of Illinois, and we look for employee incentives. So depending on how many employees are going to be at the site, there's other incentives like that. And then you look at the Class 8.
Kind of give an example on the Class 8, so the board realizes, with the Class 8, you're looking at approximately about 93 cents per square foot. When you're looking at bringing a business into Sauk Village, it pretty much puts us pretty close to a level playing field when it comes to Will County. Will County, again, you're looking at anywhere from 70, let's see if we got this here, anywhere from 79 cents per square foot all the way up to probably about $1.25. So it puts us on a level playing field, pretty close to it. That's why it's such important to move with this. Again, this is a renewal that they're asking for. This is something, and if you looked under your ordinance, the first ordinance, I was sitting on the board quite a few years ago, but a lot of the trustees who were sitting on the board no longer was here. But you had, and I just shared with Trustee Burgess, the last time this was passed, I was on the board as trustee, CUNY, Luther, Schreiber, Schultz, and Siri. It was 2004. So it goes back quite a few years. Again, this renewal will help NCOR hopefully bring in a user for this building. And then, of course, as a village, we work very closely with our state, downstate, and we work with the county, see what other kind of incentives we can work with. We'll work with P.L.A.N to see what other kind of incentives there are to bring business and jobs and to fill an empty building. And that's what's important. Trustee?
Yes, I was just looking over it quickly. There is no expiration date. There's something, we need to put that in here. How long this Class A will be taken in effect?
The Class 8 is through, I don't know if it's the county or the state. But what ends up happening is they're getting an ordinance of support, saying Sauk Village supports this Class 8, and then everything's worked through. It's through the real estate tax.
So they the one? It's Cook County the one that sets the time limit as far as how long the renewal is for? There's nothing in here.
The time is already set through the Class 8 process. And what happens is a business like NCOR, who now has picked up this property, they come before the board and ask for a renewal. The board passes an ordinance saying that they support this renewal, and then they go through the process of getting it approved. But again, the ordinance is something that they need to have in their hand when they apply for the Class 8.
Okay, maybe I need to ask them, how many years are you asking for?
You're going to talk closer to that.
The Class 8 is a 12-year incentive, and so basically what it does is it reduces the level of assessment from 25 to 10% on industrial properties for a period of 10 years, and then 15% for the 11th year and 20% for the 12th.
Okay, so is there going to be something in writing stating after you guys get through applying for it, and you come back and stating that it's going to be for 12 years? We get paperwork stating that it is for 12 years. So we know 12 years from now we can start this process again if we need to be.
It is what it is. Again, we're giving them an ordinance of support, saying we support this. They're working with the county and state.
No, I'm asking whatever they give you. I know you're petitioning for it. I understand that. I just want to know, is there someone going to give us paperwork after you get it, because I'm sure you will, stating how long it will be. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, it's administered through the county, and they can probably issue something that says.
That's all. I just want something in the record, so who knows what's going to happen between now and 10, 12 years. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, this is on the agenda to vote for tonight. We're in the regular board meeting, so if there's no other questions, that's for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Special meeting adjourned.